manual sewing machines, the tension is very important. You need to set the tension. Setting the tension will give you good stitch length and obviously make your sewing easier. You know, so your bags will come out looking professional. So you need to set the tension correctly. This is a front view of a manual sewing machine. It's from a brand called Butterfly. I mean, there are other brands available, but this is the most common one used here in Nigeria. This is it. This is the front view, and this is the side. This is what it looks like on the side. So yeah, this is your black head, obviously because it's black, manual sewing machine. Manual sewing machine usually comes with the tabletop. You can either buy it with a tabletop or just the head itself. So this is the table itself. This is where you normally match to get the wheel to run. So typical. Most people that sew know this is what it looks like. Manual sewing machine, there are 3 settings that will help you get very good stitch length. The first one is this lever here. You can see it has some numbers written on it. This is one of the settings you have to do. Then the second setting is this knot here. This here is adjustable like this or like this. This is actually the main tension for the upper thread. This one here. Then this one, this is the third one. This is the third one that you have to adjust when sewing leather, when sewing bags. This is very important. My engineer actually told me this. My sewing engineer, he told me that look, he had to check this setting. When I bought this machine, it's meant for sewing clothes, but I told him I want to be sewing bags with it. So he came here and he adjusted this. He said this is very important. Then another thing is, obviously you get a bigger needle, because a bigger needle punctures a leather much better. Then the next one, this is a piece, it's called a needle plate. This plate, you can see the screws there, it means it's removable. If you're going to start sewing bags on this manual sewing machine, you need to get this changed. Get this changed, tell them you want to be sewing bags, and they'll give you something with a bigger hole. You can see this hole where the needle goes down. For sewing bags, the hole is usually bigger to accommodate a bigger needle. So this needs to be changed. Then the next thing, or the last thing that needs to be adjusted when you want to sew bags on your manual sewing machine is the shuttle itself. I will show you. Okay, so we're going to get to the shuttle now. You have to put your hand under the machine and bring out the shuttle. We'll call this the shuttle. This is the bobbin. In Nigeria, we call it reeler. This usually goes inside this. So the way this thread comes out, if it comes out really loosely or if it comes out really tightly, affects the stitch length of your work. So if you look at it like this, you put it through like this, you put it through like this. So watch this. It's coming out just normal. You can see it's just going normal. Let me show you what makes the difference. You can see this knot here, this knot here, this knot here. When you tighten it, obviously you can use a screwdriver with a really small mouth. When you tighten it, you can see it does go around. See, when you tighten it clockwise, tighten it clockwise. Watch how the thread comes. See, it's really tight. You can see I'm pulling really hard. The thread is coming really slowly. I'm really pulling hard on it. So you can imagine if this was in your machine and the upper thread, the needle is trying to pick it up while sewing, the stitches will be really tiny. You can see it's really tight. The stitch, if you push it to the, see, this is as tight as it can go, really hard. Obviously, without even being told, this gives you very tight stitches. This, and you do this when you're sewing clothes, like you're sewing very light materials like chiffon or silk. This setting will make you really tight, so you have tiny stitches. And obviously you change your needle to a smaller needle so that it doesn't puncture it doesn't puncture your fabric. That's the only time you do that. But as a bag maker, this setting is not right. You can, for one thing, the thread, because we're using a size 3 thread. This thread is too thick for you to be making this kind of adjustment. See, it comes out really tight. You're going to, in fact, the thread will be cutting. So you need to loosen it. You need to loosen it. Not completely, like, but still, you can see how easy it's coming out. This affects the stitch length of your project. This is one of the main things. See, the 3 things for sewing is your lower tension. This gets affected. You can see how it's coming out really easily. You can even loosen it some more, very freely. See, and still loosen it. Be careful the pin here doesn't come out, the screw, but you can see very loose. So if you notice you're having really tiny stitch lengths, adjust this. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm going to be using different type of materials, because also your material affects your stitch length. So what I have here, this dark material is called here in Nigeria we'll call it Mako, M-A-C-O, Mako. But the name for it actually is EVA foam, but this is Mako, and this is like 0.2 millimeter Mako. This is a very thin. Another material is this is leather, but this is a different type of leather from this one. You know, these are 3 different type of leathers. We're going to be this leather, this one, and this one. They all behave differently. This one has a different type of backing, so it was what makes it different. You can see this. So we're going to test the stitch length on these different fabrics for you to see. So for this material, this Mako EVA foam, in order to get good stitches, we had to adjust 3 settings. The tension here, I had to make it tighter, and then the stitch length, I had to bring it up a bit. Then the shuttle, if you remember, this shuttle, we opened it initially, it was opened all the way. This knot here, this screw here, so I had to tighten it a bit. So these are basically the 3 settings you play around with based on your type of material you're using. This tension here is for the upper thread. The stitch length regulator, you pick the stitch length, and then this shuttle here that the bobbin is inserted into this knot here. This knot, you have to get a screwdriver and adjust the setting. So now we're going to sew with these 3 settings adjusted. So this is what the result of the sewing we've done. You can see the stitch length. This is the top thread, and the stitch, this is the lower thread. I use a black thread so we can see the difference. This is for the back and this is for the front. Pretty good because of the adjustment we made. So this fiber, this material now, it's called Mako. You have to adjust the stitches now if you're going to sew on a different material. So I'm going to sew now on a piece of leather now. This is the first type of leather now. So we're going to sew on this now to see what this setting on this Mako, to see what it gives us on this leather now. Let's use the setting and see what we'll get here. You can see the reason why I'm struggling, because this leather is slippery. So as a bag maker, when you're sewing on leather, especially slippery leather, I would recommend you get your machine oil. It's not just for putting on machine, you also put it on your leather. It helps the leather move freely. Okay, so now we try to sew it again. You can see now it's moving freely. It's not struggling. I'm not struggling with it. Okay, now let's see the result we've gotten using the setting we use for our Mako. This is the result. looks okay. I mean, look at it. And this is the back. Though it's black, so you might not be able to see the nature of the stitching, but this is the front. Looks pretty good. Using the setting used for the Mako, we used it for this leather. It looks good, but you know, this is one layer. So let me double or triple this leather and see what we're going to have. So I've doubled it, because normally when you're sewing a bag, you're not sewing thin layers like this. Usually a double or triple of it. So we have 4 layers now. 4 layers. Let's see the type of stitch we see now. This something this thick now. This is typical when you're sewing your bag. So let's see the type of stitch length we get. Remember to use your oil on the leather so it moves smoothly. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Well, so far it's looking good. This is the front. Looks good. Let's see the back. Oh, the back looks good, even though I used black thread. You know what? Let me switch the thread so that you can see the stitch of the back properly. But the front looks good. Look at this. It looks good, isn't it? Okay, so now this piece of leather, and this is a different type of leather now. This is a scrap of leather. So now what we're going to do is double it. Then double it again. We have 4 layers. Then still fold it. Okay, so we have 8 layers. This is pretty thick. You can see the thickness. So let's try and sew on this. Remember to always use your oil when you want to start sewing. On this type of leather, it's slippery. Okay, so now put it inside and see what we can get. Look at it. This is the front. This is the front. Sorry, the leather is a bit shiny, so maybe I might have to use another leather. But the stitching came out quite well. This is it. And this is the back. Ooh, the back is beautiful. The stitch length, you can see, came out really nice. This is the back, and this is the front. Sorry, the front doesn't really show. I might have to use another color of thread, but this is it. So let's try another leather with another color of thread. So this is a black leather. You fold it 2 times. Fold it. We have 4 layers. So these 4 layers, we'll fold it again. We're trying to have a very thick layer to see how the tension affects these layers. You can see now, I think we have 8 layers now. See? So now, I hope it goes under the presser foot, because this presser foot has a certain height it can go on manual machines. So now we'll put it under. Well, it went. Then you put your machine oil. And let's start sewing. So this is a stitch. You can see this is the front. We use a pink thread, and it came out really well for 8 layers of leather. Look at how thick it is. Came out really well, the stitches. And then this is the back. The back is absolutely beautiful. Look at the stitches. Came out really well. So like I said, getting the tension right on your sewing machine, on your manual sewing machine, determines the type of stitches you have. But just for clarity's sake, let me fiddle with the stitches again so you see what we have when we use a wrong setting. So now the stitch length here, I've taken it up higher. So we're going to have tiny stitches and we'll struggle with moving the leather. Watch and see. You can see it's really struggling to move. It's moving, but it's really struggling because the stitch length is too high. The higher the lever goes, the tinier the stitch length. You can see it's still going, but it's really struggling. Let me remove it and show you. You can see the stitches, really tiny stitches. Tiny stitches. You can see the stitches really tiny. And it affected the back. You can see the back too is really tiny. Just from messing with this stitch length regulator here, I took it up high. Let me take it back to normal, well, the last setting we had, and let me tamper with this tension here. This tension here. This tension, let me tamper with it now to see how it will affect the stitch length. I will loosen it. I've loosened it completely. Loosen it. Why the stitch length regulator? I put it back to our regulator here. It's back to our former setting. Why I opened this. So let's see the effect it will have on our stitch. Well, the lever is not struggling, it's moving. You can see the stitch length. There's a difference in the stitch length. This is obviously more open. This is open while this is tinier, and this is the back. Although the stitches are not as tight as they should be, but this is the result. You see the difference. This is the front. Sorry about the glare from the light. You can see this is looser. So let's still open this. Let's still open it up and try and sew again. Double the leather so we'll have a more realistic example to work with. Okay, let's use your machine oil. Start with your sewing project. So this is the result we're having. Let me get this at a good angle. This is the result we're having. The stitch length is still manageable, but it's not really pretty. And this is the back. It will be a bit, it's not straight, but still it's looser than the first one. But this is it, I opened it up. So let me take this tension back to the former setting. I'm closing and making it tighter. Let me turn to the other direction so you can see the stitch length. You can see the difference with the lower one, the upper one. Funny enough, closing this tension here, closing it, making it tighter, tends to give you bigger stitch length. So you have to play with these three settings: stitch length regulator, it's on the machine itself, the tension, upper tension for the upper thread, and then the shuttle itself, the screw. So to sew this fashion bag with this side gusset like this, it's very possible, very possible to do on a manual. A few secrets on how to cut this side, this gusset. If you want to learn how, send me a DM.